All right, we should be on page 367, and we had 2 through 11 to do. And remember, we were just estimating. And a few of these, you could have estimated them one way or another. So we'll go through them together. So the first one was 1/8 plus 1/4. Remember, our benchmarks are what numbers? Malik?
0, 1, 1/2, and 1.
Right. 0, 1/2, and 1. Those are our 3 benchmarks. So every single one of these numbers either went to 0, 1/2, or 1. Okay, those were your only choices. And then we had to add them or subtract them. So 1/8. Gabby, what should we round 1/8 to? 0 plus. Bree, what should we round 1/4 to? 0, which would equal
0.
0. Or some of you may have done 0 plus 1/2 because 1/4 is also really close to 2/4, which would be half, and that would have been 1/2. I would have accepted either of those answers. Okay, 0 or 1/2 would have been fine. Okay. Number 3, Claire, what should we round 4/5 to? 1 minus. Phoebe, what do we need to do to 1/2? Just leave it. It's already a benchmark. Ethan, what is 1 minus 1/2? A half. So number 3 was half. And that should have been the only choices. Remember, if you did not get these right, what should you be doing right now? Using a pen and correcting them. Okay? Pencils really shouldn't be out. Well, you're fine. You can use your pencil. Pencils really shouldn't be out, though. All right, now we have a whole number, but remember, we're not really worried about those whole numbers till after we round our fractions. Who's next? No. John. 3/5. What should we round 3/5 to?
A half.
A half. So we could have 2 and a half minus 1 and what should we round 3/8 to? Zoe?
A half.
A half. 1 and 3/2. Mason, what is 2 and a half minus 1 and a half?
1.
1. Number 4, the answer was 1. Number 5, 1/5. What are we rounding 1/5 to? Isabel?
A half.
I'm going to disagree with you. It is 1 away from 0, and it is 1.5 away from a half. So that means we should actually round it to
0.
0 plus 3/7. What are we rounding 3/7 to, Malik?
1/2.
Half. 0 plus a half equals what, Abby?
0 plus a half equals a half.
Yep. Half. Fabulous. Next, we have 2/5. What benchmark are we going to round 2/5 to, Isaiah?
A half.
A half plus 2/3. What are we going to round that to, Alicia? 1. A half plus 1 equals what, Rush? We have a half plus 1. I have 1, and I'm adding a half to it. 1 and a half. Fabulous. Maddie, next, we have 2 and 2/3. What are we rounding that 2/3 to? Why don't you look at your book? 2/3. What benchmark are we rounding that to? You can do a half or you can do a whole. I would accept either. 3/4. What are we rounding 3/4 to, Gabby? 1. You could do 2/3 to a whole, so your answer could either be 3 and a half or 4. I would accept either of those. Okay. Whatever floats your boat. 2/3 is kind of tricky because it is more than half, but it's kind of the same distance from half and a whole. So I would accept either 3 and a half or 4. Whatever floats your boat. Bree, we have 1 and 7/8. What benchmark are we rounding 7/8 to? 1. So then if we have 1 and 1, that equals what, Bree? 2. Now we have 2 minus 1 and a half. Claire, what do we need to do to 1 and a half? Just leave it because it's already a benchmark. Phoebe, 2 minus 1 and 1/2 is what?
1/2.
Half. Whoop. Fabulous. And number 9. Dun, 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 dun. Zoe, we have 4 and 1/8. What are we going to round 1/8 to?
1. 1.5.
Okay. Stop guessing. 1/8. Is that close to 0, half, or 1?
0.
Yeah. So it's not, we don't have to add anything to the 4. It's just plain old 4 minus 3/4. What would we round 3/4 to, Ethan?
1.
1. And 4 minus 1 is what? John?
So 4 minus 1 is 3.
3. Woo. What questions do we currently have? Anyone? Questions? We have questions now. You're going to have questions later. So if you have a question, now is our time to ask. We have 2 more problems. We have cup of fruits. Wait, for a cup of fruit salad recipe, Jenna combines 3/8 cups of raisins, 7/8 cups of oranges, and 3/4 cups of apples. About, which means we're estimating / rounding, how many cups of fruit are in the salad? So 3/8. What benchmark are we going to round 3/8 to, Alex? A half. And then 7/8. What are we going to round 7/8 to, Mason?
So now it's going to round up to 1.
Going to round up to 1. And then 3/4 cups of apples. What are we going to round 3/4 up to, Isabel?
We are going to round 3/4 to 1/2.
You could do a half or you could do 1. I would go up to 1, but I suppose I would also take a half. Whichever one you did. So now we have half, 1, and 1, which is what, Malik?
2 and 1/2 cups.
Child. 2 and 1/2. And thank you for saying the label cups, because it is cups of fruit.
I did it. Well,
If you rounded 3/4 down to a half, you would have had 2 cups of fruit, which I would have taken that answer as well. What you doing, sir? Why don't you come get grab your math book and a pencil and come sit across from Eliana. Put your mask on. That's what happens when we don't do the right thing. Tyler had 2 7/16 yards of fabric. He used 3/4 yards to make a vest. About how much fabric did he have left? So we have 2 7/16. What would we round 7/16 to? Who's next on my list? Abby.
7/16 to half.
Yeah, 2.5 because 7 is almost 8 and 8 is half of 16. And then 3/4. What would we round 3/4 to, Isaiah?
1.
1. So now we have 2.5 minus 1, which equals what, Alicia? 1.5. Yep. Yards, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Fabulous. What questions do we currently have on our... Hi, Eric. I didn't see you join. What's up? What questions do we currently have on our homework page? Going once, going twice. All we were doing was rounding to a benchmark, 0, half, or 1. Then we added or subtracted them, found the difference or the sum. Okay? But, today we're not going to be rounding. We're going to be finding actual answers. Dun, 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 dun. Alex is going to erase my board. Everyone else is going to count.
What about pens?
And John's going to pick up the pens. I guess we'll just skip the list. That's all right. I want to make sure we can get through all these rounds.
It's algebra.
What's algebra? What's algebra?
It's algebra. So what do I? This is 3. I've never done this before.
No, don't throw that away. Just put it in your book. That way you have it. All right. So today we are on 369. 369 is where you should be. And we're going to be working with common denominators and equivalent fractions. First off, someone remind me where a denominator is. Bottom. So we're going to be adding fractions. And to add fractions without rounding, to actually add them, you have to have a thing. Your denominators have to be the same. So that's what we're going to work with today. And if you know your facts, this lesson will be much easier for you. If you're not super great with your facts, I would suggest maybe you get out a multiplication table right now. Just saying, okay? So if you're not a good facts person, grab a multiplication table right now. That way you have it for in a little bit, okay? So we're going to rewrite pairs of fractions so they have common denominators. That is our goal for the day. We're in math class, sir. All right. So Sarah, lovely lady, planted 2 1-acre gardens. That's a lot of garden. One of the 3 sections of flowers, and the other had 4 sections of flowers. Okay. She plans to divide both gardens into more sections so they have the same number of equal sized sections. How many sections will each garden have? Okay, kind of confusing, but that's okay. I'm going to tell you the first way we're going to do this is not Mrs. Kneifel's favorite way to find a common denominator. We're still going to do it, but the second way we find a common denominator is how Mrs. Kneifel likes to do it, just for the record. So the first one is doing it with a little like a table or a chart or like a picture. And Mrs. Kneifel just likes to do the math way. So one way we can do it is by multiplying the denominator. So if you think to yourself, I can divide 1/3 into fourths and divide each 1/4 into thirds, then each of the wholes will be divided into the same parts, 12ths. Kind of confusing, but that's okay. So if I make each one of these boxes 4 by drawing 3 lines, I now have 12 sections. If I divide each of my fourths into thirds, I will also have 12 sections, which means their common denominator is 12. So what you're doing here is first multiplying the denominators to find a common denominator. Well, guess what? A common denominator of 1/3 and 1/4 is 12. So you can write 1/3 and 1/4 as equivalent fractions by using common denominators. And fun fact, what you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. Okay? Top, bottom, have to be the same, have to be the same, have to be the same. Everyone say it with me. What you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom.
I have to do at the bottom.
Yeah. So how many times did I multiply 3 to get to 12?
4.
So that means I need to multiply the top by 4 as well. How many times did I multiply 4 to get to 12?
3.
3. So that means I have to multiply the top by 3. So basically, both gardens will have a total of 12 sections. Now, like I said, that is not my best favorite way to find a common denominator. I think there's a more simple way to find a common denominator, and that's what we're going to do next, okay? And we're going to do it by using a list, okay? Because I think pictures can get a little bit messy. Like, look how many stripes are there. That's confusing. But if that works for you, go you. This is not how it really works for Mrs. Kneifel. I prefer the list making. So I like the other way. And the other way is when it helps us to have those facts in mind. So to make a list, they said make a list of the first 8 non-zeros, but sometimes you don't even need to go out to 8. You can go out till you find one. But what we do is list the multiples of 3. So multiples of 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. And then you list the multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. And then you find or circle the common denominator. So they have 12 in common, and they also have 24 24 in common. But when we're multiplying, we want the smallest common denominator, okay? The least is what that's called. So, which pair do we have circled first, Mason?
12.
12. So, we're doing the exact same thing. We multiplied that by 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be 4 on top. And then to get 12 for 4, 1, 2, 3. So that would be 3. So both gardens can have 12 sections, or they could also have 24 sections, because those are the common denominators. But most of the time, we look for least common denominator, the smallest common denominator. But they could also have 12 sections, or 24 sections. We could split those even more, the picture above. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, making a list of common multiples is the simplest way. So that is what we will most likely be doing, is making some beautiful lists. I need you to turn to the next page. So, remember, the least common denominator is the smallest denominator the two numbers have in common, okay? So, find the least common denominator of 3/4 and 1/6. Use the least common denominator to write an equivalent fraction for each fraction. So the first thing we have to do is list the multiples of them. So this is where, if you don't know your facts, you probably need your multiplication chart. So multiples of 4. Obviously, 4 times 1 is 4. And then our next one would be 8. Then we would have 12. Then what?
16.
16. Then what?
20.
20. Then what?
24.
24. 28. Yeah, that's plenty. I'm going to let you know. I just was listing some extra. Now I need my multiples of 6. The first one is obviously itself, which is 6. 12. Oh, look. Do I even need to go any further?
No.
No, I can stop right there because I already have a common denominator. What is my common denominator? Everyone.
Wow.
Fabulous. So the least common denominator of 3/4 and 1/6 is 12. Fabulous. So now we have to make the equivalent fraction. And the equivalent fraction is when we use the common denominator, which is 12 in this case, and what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So when we change the denominator to 12 for 3/4, how many times did we multiply 4 to get to 12? And all you have to do is count it because you already have your list. 1, 2, 3. So if I multiply the bottom by 3, I have to multiply the top by 3. So we already know the bottom's going to be 12. And then the top is 3 times 3, which equals 9. And now I have 1/6. How many times did I have to multiply 6 to get to our least common denominator, 12, Alex? Only 2 times. 1, 2. So that means if we multiply the bottom by 2, we have to multiply the top by what? 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. We already know that that's our common denominator. And then 1 times 2 is 2. Is all. So 3/4 can be rewritten as 9/12, and 1/6 can be written as 2/12. Okay? Cool? Are we seeing how we do this?
Yes.
Yeah? Basically, you just got to make lists of common denominators. That's it. You make lists of multiples of numbers, and then you find the one they have in common. And Mrs. Kneifel always writes a bunch extra for the first one, and then the second one, as soon as I find a common denominator, guess what? I'm technically done. So there's that. All right. We're going to do another one on share and show, except we're going to do it together, so I don't know why it's called share and show. All right, let me erase. My dry erase board has not been very erasey lately. All right. Done. Next one. We have to find the common denominator between 1/6 and 1/9. Then we're going to rewrite the pair of fractions using the common denominator. So, guess what Mrs. Kneiffel's going to do? I'm going to make a list. So, multiples of 6. List them with me. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 32, 36. Oh, wait, what am I thinking? Sorry. 36. And then we have 42. And then we have 48. And then we have 54. And then we have 60. That should be plenty, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere it's going to be there. And now, let's list multiples of 9. List them with me. Remember, if you don't know your facts, you should have a multiplication chart out. Ready? 9, 18, 27, 36. Oh, can I stop?
Yes, we got the 18.
It is 18. Woo. 18 is a common multiple. 36 is also a common multiple. So we could keep going and keep going. But the least common denominator is what, everyone? 18. Fabulous. So I'm going to rewrite my denominator already. We know our denominator is going to be 18. How many times do I have to multiply 6 to get to 18? 3. So if I multiply the 6 by 3, I have to multiply the 1 by 3. And 1 times 3 is what? 3. And now, how many times did I have to multiply 9 to get to 18? 2. So if I multiply the bottom by 2, I have to multiply the top by 2. 1 times 2 is? 2. So these fractions can be rewritten as 3/18 and 2/18. All right? Go us. All right, next. I'm going to erase these lists because we have new denominators. We have 3 and 5. So I'm first going to list 3. Then I'm going to list 5. List multiples of 3 with me. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. That's probably enough. Now, and if it's not enough, we would just keep going, right? Yeah. So 5, 10, 15, 20. Does anyone see a common denominator? Malik?
15.
15. Fabulous. And what we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did we multiply 3 to get to 15, Isaiah? 5. So if we multiply the bottom by 15 or by 5, the top has to be by 5. So 1 times 5 is? 1 times 5 is? 5. Thank you. Now we have 1/5 times. How many times do we have to multiply 5 to get to 15, everyone? 3, which equals 15 and 3 over 15. So our common denominator was 15, and our equivalent fractions are 5/15 and 1/15, or 3/15. Mason.
Way I found you can do it, you don't have to do all of the time stuff. You can just look like on your little chart that took 3, and then you put 3 over the common denominator.
I know. I'm glad you know that, but some people don't know how to use that trick, so we have to actually do the math together. All right? But later on your homework, you could do that if you know how to do that, okay? All right, next one. We have 2/3 and 5/9. So I'm going to list 3 and I'm going to list 9. Let's do multiples of 3, everyone. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. That's probably enough, right? Right. All right, now multiples of 9. Ready? 9.
We're good.
Are we good? Yeah. Because 9 and 9. So do we even need to change this fraction?
No.
No. 9/5 is going to stay, not 9/5. 5/9 is going to stay 5/9. So you do not even have to change it. But we do need to change 2/3. How many times do we have to multiply 3 to get to 9? Anyone know?
3.
3. So if I multiply the bottom by 3, I have to multiply the top by 3. So 2 times 3 is what? 6. So the common denominator between them is 9, and our equivalent fractions are 6/9 and 5/9. Okay? What questions are we currently having? Questions, complaints, concerns. What are we thinking, friends? Anyone? Got anything to say? No? All right, let's do another one. This time we have 2/9 and 1/15. So let's list our multiples of 9 and 15. Multiples of 9, ready? 9, 18, 27, 36,
45.
45. Glad you guys know that. 54. All right, that should be enough. 15, ready? 15, 30, 45, 60. Do we see one? Everyone, what is it?
45.
Perfect. So common denominator is 45. Now we need to make those equivalent fractions. So I'm going to write our original fraction. 2/9 times blank equals something over 45. How many times do we have to multiply 9 to get to 45? 5. So if I multiply the bottom by 5, I have to multiply the top by 5. So 2 times 5 is what? 10. Then we have 1/15. How many times do we have to multiply 15 to get to 45? 3. So if I multiply the bottom by 3, I have to do the top by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. So my equivalent fractions are 10/45 and 3/45. Okay? What's up, Abby? It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters right now is math. Any questions? Is everyone seeing how we have to find the multiple? Then all we have to do is count to see how many times we multiply the numerator by. Okay? Yes, no, maybe so? All right, Alex is going to erase. I'm going to head to the next page, and so are all of you.
Why do you do that? You miss always one thing.
Okay, so you didn't write any of those. Why is that? Well, now they're not even on the board. So why aren't we writing them? It's not up for debate. You have to do what I do. All right. Well, we shouldn't have just erased those common multiples of 9 and 15 because we just have the same numbers again. Dang it. But 45. Since we just did it, we know the common multiples are what? 45. And how many times do we multiply 9 to get to 45? 5 times. So if we multiply the 9 by 5, we have to multiply the 5 by 5. And 5 times 5 is 25. And how many times did we multiply 15 to get to 45? Bless you.
3.
3. So if we multiply the 15 by 3, we got to do the 4 by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. So our equivalent fractions are 25/45 and 12/45. Sorry, that's hard to say. All right, next. Our things are 6 and 21. So I'm going to list the multiples of 6. Say them with me. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. Hopefully that's enough. And now we have 21. Multiples of 21. 21. 42. Oh, look.
42.
Woo!
Yay!
So our common denominator is what, everyone? 42. Now, how many times did I multiply 6 to get to 42? Well, if you don't know, you can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I multiplied the bottom by 7, I have to multiply the top by 7. And 7 times 1 is 7. And now, how many times did I multiply 21 to get to 42? Well, if you don't know, 1, 2. So if I did the bottom by 2, I got to do the top by 2. 4 times 2 is 8. So our equivalent fractions are 742 and 842. Okay? Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got time, so we're going to keep going. Number 7. We're doing math until 9:30, so sorry about your luck, pup. Multiples of 14 and 42. Mrs. Knievel doesn't know how well she knows 14, so sometimes if you don't know the multiples of it, you could also just add them. You know, that would be the multiples. So we have 14, 28.
30. 42.
Oh, it's 42? Oh, well, there you go. And multiples of 42 would be 42. Oh, snap. Woo. So our common denominator is 42. So do we need to change 842?
Yes.
No, it's already the least common denominator. So 842 can just stay 842. But we do need to change 5/14. So how many times did we multiply 14 to get to 42? If we don't know, we can count. 1, 2, 3. So what we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator. If 4 times 3 or 14 times 3 is 42, 5 times 3 is 15. So our equivalent fractions are 842 and 1542. Okay?
Okay.
You writing this down? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yes.
All right. Everyone, right now, try number 8 on your own. I want to see your list of your multiples. I want to see your circle of the common denominator. Then I want to see your equivalent fractions. You're going to have 3 minutes to try this one on your own. Number 8. And I expect to see an answer. We are not just sitting. We are actually doing this, okay? And guess what? We may not know how to count by 18s, and that's okay. Just add them up on the side. When you're done, your pencil should be down. That's my signal that, hey, Mrs. Knievel, I'm done.
Can you just say that? I told him he was drinking water. I just
So we have up here done.
I am. Getting there.
Okay, well, then you just said you're done.
Yeah,
You're messing around. Instead of working. All right. If you are not finished, that's okay. We're going to do this together. We need multiples of 18 and multiples of 12. So count 12s with me. 12.
36. 24. Yeah, 24.
Yeah. 24, 36,
48.
48. Sweet. All right, let's do 18. 18, 36. Oh, look, I have a common multiple. 36. So both my denominators are now 36. So how many times do we need to multiply 12 to get to 36? We don't know. 1, 2, 3. So if we multiplied the bottom by 3, we have to multiply the top by 3. 3 times 7 is 21. Now we have 5 18s. How many times did we multiply 18 to get to 36? Let's count. 1, 2. If I multiplied the bottom by 2, I have to multiply the top by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. So our equivalent fractions are 23 36 and 10 36. Okay? Zoe, sit up. No, that's not how we're saying. Okay? The next ones we're going to do together. These are just algebra, and algebra means we're missing a piece is what's happening here, okay? So don't be intimidated by the word algebra. It's okay. We're just missing a piece. So we have 1/5 and 1/8. What is the least common denominator of 5 and 8? Right now on your own, I want you to write the multiples of 5 and 8 so you find the common denominator. Write the multiples of 5 and 8. Where's your multiplication chart, bud? I told everyone to get them out. If you are not super good with your multiplication facts, you have to have out a multiplication chart in order to do this, okay? It's like a must. Right now, you are trying to find me a common denominator. You should be writing the multiples on your page. I should be able to walk up and see that you wrote these. Okay, so maybe we should have asked 40 minutes ago. Does anyone else need a multiplication chart? Well, I'm right here. I have a whole bunch. You have to have one unless you are super good with your facts. And some of us are not super good with our facts. And that's fine. So we have multiplication charts. All right, let's common denominator these. Multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Hopefully that's enough. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Woo, 40. So all they were asking for is the least common denominator, so you only had to write 40. That's it. And then this one, they gave us the least common denominator, which means we are missing the denominator here. So if the least common denominator is 15, well, it can't be 5 because then their least common denominator would be 5. So this denominator either has to be 3 or 15. Okay, it doesn't matter which one, but either one of those would make the thing 15. Okay? So, what questions do we currently have?
Neither.
None? All right, then I need everyone to turn to page 373. We have a good chunk of time till reading still. We have 17 minutes. So, because we have 17 minutes, you're going to have a really good head start on your homework. Your homework. Page 373. 2 through 11. Okay? 2 through 11. That's like 9 problems. All right? But we have 17 minutes right now to get started. If you have questions, what should you do? Ask. That is literally why I'm giving you work time right now to get started. 2 through 11, page 373. Okay? Goodbye, friends at home. This will be posted in case you missed something. So long. Reading will be at 9:30. What, Isabel? Sorry.